I would like to tell you the following. He's reading the answer, meaning he knows the questions and they write down the answer. He reads the
right, dude. And if you deny
me,
it, you're going to come across like a silly person. Wait, are they doing special coverage on it? Really? Oh my God, they are.
Listen, there is
people are so starving for Trump content,
in
dude.
this country that believe that the last election, because Trump has told them again and again, and his supporters have backed him on this, that there was something untoward about the last election, that it was stolen, that he was the true winner of that election. And, 60 to 70% of Republicans believe that. The people who attacked the Capitol on January 6th did so thinking they were doing their constitutional duty,
right,
because they thought that something untoward has happened. So you can imagine the reaction if he is taken off the ballot.
All right. David Axelrod, thank you very much. Joan Biskupik, thank you very much to you. I want to go to Ty Cobb now, the former Trump White House lawyer. So, Ty, 133 pages, and then you have the three dissents, which I'm trying to work my way through here. From what you've seen, what do you take away?
So the way I see this is that the Supreme Court has to take this. They can stay the dates in Colorado. They'll move expeditiously. I was struck by the majority opinion and the amount of verbiage devoted to the sort of straw man arguments. The real key issue in this case is Trump an officer of the United States in the context in which that term is used in Article 3 of the 14th Amendment.
Right.
And in 2010, Chief Justice Roberts explained in Free Enterprise that people don't vote for officers of the United States. Article 2, officers of the United States, is commonly understood in the Constitution to refer to appointed officials. And to the extent that the president or the vice president are included as an officer or included within the admonitions of the Constitution, they are typically highlighted, like in the impeachment clause, which specifically says president, vice president. So I think this case will be handled quickly. I think it could be 9-0 in the Supreme Court for Trump.
And can I just say, Ty, that would be, I had to emphasize, I don't ever like talking about who appointed whom, because you like to just believe in the impartiality of justice. But nonetheless, it has become important. So, because Trump's already...
shut the fuck
Supreme
up.
Court,
the impartiality of justice? What the
ruling.
fuck? Why are you defending the Supreme Court under the false notion of impartiality? God, I hate liberals.
If you're looking at 9-0, that would sure be a statement.
At least conservatives are fucking honest. At least conservatives are honest. They're honest about their pervetry. They're honest about their racism. They're literally like, no, dog, I'm court packing. And then they simultaneously say Democrats are court packing, but they're doing it too. It's like, I hate liberals, man.
I was on a panel with Professor Ballot at the University of Chicago Institute of Politics discussing this, and heard his views, and his scholarship is excellent. On the other hand, there are multiple competing scholars who disagree and highlight the point that I just made about the multiple Supreme Court decisions.
Bro, Trump fell off hard. 18K Andy, bro, he fell off worse than me.
Not conclude that officers, as used in the context, as this context, include the president or the vice president. And after, there have been many constitutional professors, Steve Calabrese of Northwestern, probably the most prominent one, who, after reading all the scholarship, changed his mind. He was originally a supporter of the idea that this outcome was appropriate, but he later concluded, despite his strong feelings against Trump, that Trump would have to be beaten at the ballot box. And I think, sadly, that's the case. And it will be a race to get there. The Supreme Court, though, will not hesitate to move quickly on this. They know what the stakes are. They know what their responsibility is.
Right.
And they can delay some of these Colorado days.
One of the assholes in the chat said, half of his viewers died from COVID. What's your excuse? Half of my viewers got pussy for the first time ever, dude. Once they were fucking eligible to go outside. and then they never looked back. That's my excuse. My shit was thriving when all of you were like 15, 16-year-olds who can't go outside, okay? And then you hit 18 and you were like, oh my God, I'm touching grass. This shit's awesome. What the fuck? Peace.
Our breaking news coverage continues, though, here with the crucial question: how will the decision to remove Trump from the ballot play on the campaign trail? And with voters receiving this news, we also have more breaking news this hour. Israel reportedly open to a truce in order to free dozens of hostages. It could be a deal much better for Hamas than the last.
She's been incredible. A man who endorsed me before I was even running. I said, who's this guy from Iowa that keeps talking about Trump? And he's I call him the Marlboro man. He's a handsome guy. State Senator Brad Azan. Brad,
Azan!
Brad. Thank you, Brad. Thank you very much. He's been great. He was endorsing me before I ran. I said, who is that guy? But he was probably the first one in the whole country. State Representatives Bobby Kaufman, who's fantastic, by the way, and his father's fantastic too. Derek Wolf, Craig Johnson, and of course Iowa GOP Chairman Jeff Kaufman. There's a slight relationship there. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, and a great job. And it's fantastic to be with you. We'll be back a few more times, believe it or not. We have that big day coming up. We'll be back. We got to be sure that we put this thing away. The poll numbers are scary because we're leading by so much. The key is you have to get out and vote because, I tell it all the time, if you don't get out and vote, we can put this to bed after Iowa, if you want to know the truth. We can put it to bed for them, too. They can go home and forget it. But you have to go out. Don't sit home and say, I think we'll take it easy, darling. It's a wonderful day, beautiful. Let's just take it easy, watch television, and watch the results. No, because crazy things can happen. You got to get out. This is really important. Our country's at stake.
Man.
We have
He's afraid,
a country that's never been in trouble like it is right now. So get out and vote, whether we're leading in the polls or not leading in the polls. And in this case, we're leading by 30 to 40 points, I guess, but we got to win. Maybe we can win by more than that. Because, if we win in a massive number, but it's a little bit less than that, they'll say, oh, he didn't meet expectations. It was because they're fake news. We know that, They're fake news. They are the biggest fakers in the world. During this holiday season, families all across America are struggling under the brutal weight of Crooked Joe's failures, disasters, heartless betrayals, and inflation. While the stock market is making rich people richer, and I mean, it's crazy what's going on. Rich people are getting richer. Of course, I'm a politician now, so we just keep chugging along, right? But you're going to have a crash the likes of which you haven't seen because of what they're doing. It's going to be scary. Biden's inflation catastrophe is demolishing your savings and ravaging your dreams. His sky-high energy prices, the highest we've ever had, are brutalizing your wallets. Our border has been erased. Criminals are running wild in our Democrat-run cities.
It sounds
and
like Bernie Sanders when he talks about the stock market.
The world is going up in flames. The whole world is up in flames. You didn't have any of this stuff when I was president. I'd call and I'd say, you can't do that to the head of a country. And they wouldn't do it. And Russia would have never done it. And Hamas would never have done it because Iran wouldn't have given them the money or had the money to do it. No, it's very terrible what's going on. Hard to believe, actually. Joe Biden and the Democrat Party are incapable of solving any problems. Crooked Joe Biden is a low IQ individual. He is truly the worst, most incompetent, and most corrupt president in the history of our country. Other than that, I think quite a bit of him. Can you believe what's going on in our country? Can you believe what's going on with the border? You watch.
My mom is laughing at Trump's bits. She loved the most corrupt. Other than that, I think quite a bit of him.
They are coming from all over the world. But with your vote in this election together, we're going to save America and we're going to bring our country back from hell. Our country's been in hell. Not one thing has gotten better under Crooked Joe Biden. Under the Trump administration, you were better off, your family was better off, your neighbors were better off, and our country was better off. And you're also much safer when you had me behind the desk of the Oval Office.
He's cooking.
You were better off 5 years ago. Think of it. Just ask yourself, were you better off 5 years ago? Or are you better off today with the inflation, with bacon that costs you 4 times higher than you would have had to pay a little while ago? It's going up. Nobody's ever said anything like it. But what a difference a president makes. A president makes a big difference. Since Joe Biden took over, we've had a 3-year inflation rate of over 20%. Under my leadership, inflation was non-existent, and we had gasoline at $1.87 a gallon.
During COVID. Stop
After
clapping.
3 years of Bidenomics, the average monthly mortgage has gone from $1,700 under my administration to $3,400 under this terrible administration. As long as Joe Biden is in the White House, the American dream is dead. It's dead.
What?
There is no American dream.
Wait, Chuck Norris has more energy now in his 80s. Here's how. Click the link in the description box below to find out now. Or go to chuckdefense.com/Trump.
The next economic boom will begin the instant the world knows that crooked Joe Biden is gone and Donald J. Trump and us, all of us together, have won 4 more years as president of the United States. It's a very important thing because our country is really, it's a disaster. It's not even believable what's happened to our country in a period of 3 years. Powered by the momentum of our historic victory, by Christmas of next year, that's a couple of months later, by Christmas of next year, the economy will be roaring back, energy prices will be plummeting, the hordes of people charging across our border will have totally ended, the invasion will have stopped. And I heard somebody today say, one of these genius analysts, the stock market's good, the rich get richer, but the stock market's good because they think Trump is going to win the election. And I believe that's true. And whatever good they have right now is the fumes of what we left them. It's coming off the fumes of what we've left them. But the stock market is good because a lot of people think we're going to win the election. So that's an interesting fact. I felt that, but I didn't want to say it. But I think we will say it. Because just like 3 years ago, they will know that I will catch. And when you have people that are pouring across the border at levels like no country has ever seen, not us, no country has ever seen, third world nations have never seen. They'd stop them with sticks and stones, I say. But they'll know that I'll catch them and we'll send them home, and the entire world will be safer and more peaceful because everyone will know that the days of Biden surrenders are over. So many mistakes. There's been nothing good that's happened. Nothing good. What good has happened in the last 3 years? Our country's gone to hell. As soon as I get back in the Oval Office, I'll also immediately end the war on Christians. I don't know if you feel it. You have a war. There's a war. True. Under crooked Joe Biden, Christians and Americans of faith are being persecuted, and government has been weaponized against religion like never before, and also presidents like never before. Here I am. I always say Al Capone was treated better than I was treated. Scarface, Al Capone, he was a tough one. Biden and his corrupt Department of Injustice have sent SWAT teams to arrest pro-life activists. They've targeted conservative parents at school board meetings who don't want filth taught to their children. It's filth. What they're teaching in schools is filth and nonsense, and we can't let that happen. But they're being targeted, and now the communists, Marxists, and fascists are going hard after Catholics, even plotting to send spies into Catholic churches. It's all come out.
They've even fucking made the Pope gay, folks.
Days gone by.
They
now, think
even
of it.
sent an
Catholic,
infiltrator to the
vote
Pope.
For a Democrat? What they're doing to Catholics. I don't know what's going on with the Catholics, but they're really being persecuted. Why would you vote for Biden, and why would you vote for a Democrat? A new report from the House Judiciary Committee proves that the Biden FBI actually targeted Catholics as potential domestic terrorists. Do you believe this? And, you know, evangelicals will not be far behind, because when that starts, it starts happening on a very major scale. When I'm back in the White House, never again will your government be used to target Christians and other religious believers. Upon taking office, I will create a new federal task force on fighting anti-Christian bias to be led by a fully reformed Department of Justice that's fair and equitable.
He's going to
Its
prosecute
mission will be to
anti-Christian bias. Let's
investigate
go.
all
I'm
forms
going
of
to jail.
illegal discrimination, harassment, and persecution against Christians in America.
I'm literally going to jail.
Christians
If Trump
in
becomes
America.
president and he follows through on this,
Can
which he
believe all
probably
this
won't
stuff.
be able to, but if he did, I would go to jail so quick.
It is fact.
Because this is
It's
like
just
anti-white
so many of
bias,
the other things when I
anti-white
stand up and I
discrimination.
say that we will stop, and I've said it, we will stop men from participating in women's sports. I mean, the whole thing that you have, no, but things that you say.
I mean, this
That
is
you
just
say
identity
that you
politics,
can't
by the
believe
way.
you're up here and saying it. We are for parental rights. You have to say that. No, think of it. We are for parental rights. Who believes that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, who would ever have to say a thing like that? We're for parental rights. Of course we're for parental rights. But the Democrats aren't. They're fascists. They're not. They want school boards. They want people to take your children and do things with your children that are not even speakable. Americans of faith are not a threat to our country. Americans of faith are the soul of our country, and they have been from the beginning. I will defend religion, and I will defend In God We Trust. We will defend In God
Live
We
from Southern
Trust.
California, my jail cell. Oh yeah.
And you know that very important phrase is under siege. You do know that, right? We will defend.
I'm not gonna lie. Like
when Joe
at that point, obviously I'd leave the country. Like I probably wouldn't
Of
stay
Jesus
here if I
Christ.
was gonna go to jail.
do if you're celebrating Christmas, right? He didn't mention Jesus Christ.
You know, I'd go to a Western nation that doesn't have an extradition policy to the United States of America, like Israel.
When I was president, we brought back the beautiful phrase "Merry Christmas," and
Yeah, he
I said
did.
I'd do that. I'm very proud
Dude,
of that.
no one
actually,
was saying
because,
it
as I said
before
at the
him.
beginning, it was really under siege. And when I
No
lit
one was saying
Christmas
Merry
tree
Christmas
each
for me. He
year,
brought
was
it back.
my honor
That's
to
true.
publicly celebrate the true source of Christmas joy, which is Jesus Christ. As president, I kept every promise I made to Christians and more, and I think everybody in this room understands that very well. That's pretty well documented. In our first 4 years, we appointed nearly 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. I stood up for religious liberty at home and all around the world.
He literally did a Muslim ban.
Innocent life, and I defended the Judeo-Christian values of our nation's founding. I proudly recognized Israel's eternal capital and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem, which is a big thing. I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and you know they were looking to get that for
What?
72 years.
Nobody
They'd
even
fly
clapped for
in,
that.
they'd
They're like,
fly
what?
out,
What is the
they'd fly
Golan
in,
Heights?
every year they'd fly in, they'd discuss it, they'd fly out, and I got it done in about 12 minutes. We got it done very quickly. And with the historic Abraham Accords, I even made peace in the Middle East. Unfortunately, they haven't taken it any further. It should have been taken. We could have had everybody signed up. It's no wonder crooked Joe Biden and the far-left lunatics are desperate to stop us by any means necessary. They are willing to violate the U.S. Constitution at levels never seen before in order to win this election. Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. It's a threat. They're weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference because we're beating them so badly in the polls. The new CBS poll, remember I always used to talk about polls, but only if they were good. I don't mention them if they were bad. I had a tendency if they were bad, I didn't talk about them.
That's
right? I don't know.
true.
That's probably sort of like a little bit like the fake news would do, so I feel very embarrassed by it. But the new CBS poll just out has us at 58% in the state, with the sanctimonious 40 points behind us, 40 points. The new Morning Consult poll, that's in your state. The Consult poll has us at 66% nationwide, with DeSantis at 11% and Haley at 11%. And then they said Haley is surging because she went from 9 to 11. I went up 7 points. She went up 2 points. And it's harder to go up 7 when you're almost at the top. There's not that many points left. So I went up 7, she went up 2, and the headline was, Haley is surging because she caught the sanctimonious. The Fox poll has us trouncing the primary field at 69%, with DeSantis at 13% and Haley at 9%. And, you know, it's sort of interesting. He did an interview the other day, and the announcer, this was sort of a straight interview at a major network. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to have Governor Ron DeSantis with us. No, it's DeSantis. So that's good branding. Do you agree? That's good. Nah, but he is sanctimonious. In the new Rasmussen poll of the general election, we're dominating by 10, 11, 12, even 14 points. And the Washington Post had it up 11, and then they said, "Oh, this must be an outlier."
Dude,
they spend
isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that, like, look, I love Fango Lives, right? Great chatter. We have our disagreements, but like, we've been watching Donald Trump for the past fucking 30 minutes, 40 minutes, almost an hour. And to think that this man, according to Fango, is like just as bad mentally as Joe Biden is so crazy. He isn't saying anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you think that Joe Biden can keep up, if you think Joe Biden could fucking hit these bars and put together a coherent string of sentences back to back to back, regardless of how psychotic it is, right? You're out of your mind.
Election of 2024, we're not going to allow it.
He literally does all the
Every
time. He
time
never show it. That is, oh my God, I'm gonna die, bro. Joe Biden literally reads from a fucking paper and does a poor job at it. We watch Joe Biden regularly when he does press meetings. Like, that's crazy. Biden on prompter can't even fucking read. He's like, ugh, like he's literally, it looks like he's squeezing as hard as possible. Fango wasn't here, so Mega said it. Yeah, exactly. Fango and Mega are two fucking EV evangelists in the chat. They literally cannot get Brandon's dick out of their brains because, and this is something I readily admit as well, the IRA was pretty solid for fucking battery development in the country and shit. So they're so incredibly fucking dignitized by Brandon for that reason that they have to like lie to themselves and others around them as though they're like, as though Brandon actually sounds like he has like decent mental fortitude.
We almost said, keep him out. Let's keep him out, right? No, he's always going to be invited. This is far more than a campaign. This is the greatest political movement in the history of our country. That's what it is. This is a great political movement. This is not just a campaign. And together we will once again fight for Iowa families and Iowa farmers, just as we did 4 straight years. We fought for you. We've done more for the state of Iowa than any president ever in history. There's never been because when you
y'all
add it
are
all
hyping
up
up Trump more than Biden, mostly as a
Joe.
joke. No, I've said it over and over again. Donald Trump is, of course, going to be worse for the country than fucking Joseph Robinette Biden. The point is, I'm also not delusional and going to act like Joe Biden has like a decent fucking... Joe Biden looks like he has his mental faculties in order. I'm not going to say that because it's not true. You're not voting for Joe Biden. You're voting for stability. You're voting for the Democratic Party. You're voting for business as usual politics when you vote for Joe Biden. You're not like, oh man, Joe Biden is single-handedly changing the course of history. He's not.
Children. If you don't love your children, then I haven't done that much for you. But some people love their children. Does everybody in this room love their children? I do. Does anybody in this room not love their children? Raise your hand. Oh, that guy in the blue jacket raises his hand. But no, it's very important because people were going to the heirs. You know, you inherit a farm, you have a 40, 50% tax to pay, and they fight with you over the tax, and they end up going to the bankers. The banks have been so bad, not the local bank. Some of these big banks have been horrible people running them. But, you know, the banks, they loan the money and they end up taking over the farm. We're not doing that. So we ended the estate tax and farms and small businesses now. They don't have to go into hock and end up losing everything. And the parents are very happy about that. They're looking down and they're saying, I'm so happy. I love President Trump because that was a big thing. I ended the NAFTA disaster, the worst trade deal ever made, and replaced it with the USMCA, the best trade deal ever made. And that was a giant win for Iowa farmers. I took on the communist Chinese like no administration in history. Communist China was doing a number on the farmers, and you know it better than anybody, bringing hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our treasury when
I thought the farmers hated him for the tariff.
10 cents from China. Nobody had ever brought in any money. I brought in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. In fact, China is not now doing very well, and a lot of people think it was because of what I did with respect to all of the hundreds of billions I brought in.
Yo, he's winning the YouTuber constituency.
Cancel it because it's
Bro,
so much
real life
money.
Lord just voted for Trump illegally, dog. He's like, yeah, you're right. Oh my God, China is going to collapse.
Let's not do that for hundreds of billions of dollars.
Johnny Harris be like, dude, you're so right. China is about to collapse.
$8 billion straight out of the tariffs I took in from China, a large part of which came right back to the state of Iowa, right? That's why my people in the back, you know, my great geniuses, sir, please don't say that too often because you sound very conceited when you say that you guarantee that Iowa is going to vote for you. You guarantee Iowa. I said, I got him $28 billion, of course. Who else is going to get him $28 billion? I said, go out and buy more land and larger tractors. Do you remember that? But you know what? They stuck with me because we had a...
No, dumbass. You had to do that as a bailout because of the tariffs, and it still didn't work, right? Am I wrong? Am I crazy? Am I misremembering?
I don't even talk about it because of COVID. But we made one of the greatest trade deals ever made. They buy $50 billion worth of product from this country, and they were buying nothing before that. They were buying nothing. So it was an amazing thing that happened, and it's an honor to have done it. And I do believe I could say that, but I won't say it. I will not say that because my people have said. So I will not guarantee it, but I pretty much guarantee it, okay? Let's vote against...
Yeah.
Let's vote against Trump because he gave us $28 billion. I don't know. It's somehow they got a problem with that one, don't they? Huh? The people that are running against us and who, frankly, were not in favor of farmers. You know, Ron DeSanctimonious was not a friend of the farmer. He fought against the Farm Bill. He fought against ethanol hard, very hard. Now all of a sudden he loves ethanol. About 2 weeks ago it started, right? No one gets abused on trade worse than American agriculture, yet no other president lifted a finger for you. Nobody lifted a finger for you in Iowa, nobody. Under my leadership, we will have a great rebirth of loyalty to the
I'm not kidding. I'm pretty sure Iowa farmers in general, not necessarily big Trump fans, due to this, due to the tariffs. If I feel like I remember.
And I'm going to pass something that's so important. We were just about set to do that. We had the greatest economy in history. We're just about set, and then we hit COVID. COVID came, a gift from China, from Wuhan. I told them it came from the Wuhan lab. I said it right from the beginning. I never changed. Trump, you ever see the hats? Trump was right about everything. Some of the things I don't want to be right about, like I think our country's in more danger now for World War III than ever before. I don't want to be right about that. But we have a man who's grossly incompetent, and he's talking about nuclear weapons and negotiations. He doesn't even know what the hell he's talking. He can't even find the stairs to get off a stage. All right? There they are. There they are. They're all over the place. Jump off the front, but don't walk into the back wall. You ever see that? He finishes a speech, if you call it that. He did a news conference the other day, and he goes,
I mean, he's right.
Okay, let's see. You know, I did news conferences in the White House. You. He did Jim Jones of NBC. Oh, is he here? Oh. The guy says, Mr. President, what about this? What about that? What about that? I would like to tell you the following. He's reading the answer, meaning he knows the questions and they write down the answer. He reads the answer.
He's fucking right, dude.
If I ever did that,
and if you deny it, you're going to come across like a fucking silly person. You should be endlessly mad at the Democratic Party for literally allowing an avenue attack such as this one to exist. As the only guy.
And Jim Jordan's great, and Jamie is doing a great job. But the Republicans are being much nicer because they're saying, let's do an inquiry first. They didn't do an inquiry with me. I walk in, they impeached me. So these are bad people, bad people. I will pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. So that means if China or any other country make us pay a 100% or 200% tariff, which they do, we will make them pay a reciprocal tariff, identical tariff of 100 to 200% right back. We'll take in big.
Look, by the way, there are definitely real concerns, even though Iowa farmers are Republicans, like they're lifelong Republicans and shit. There are definitely very real concerns amongst even Iowa farmers, if I'm not mistaken, again, about Trump putting tariffs at the tip of the spear in his farmers at the tip of the spear in the tariff war in Iowa against China.
Baby, drill. We will drill.
So when he brings that shit up, it's like...
We'll put straws in the ground and we'll have oil coming up. We have more oil than anybody, oil and gas. We have more than any other country in the world. And, you know, we took it from fourth place to first place in just a short period of time. We were going to make so much money. We were making so much. We were energy independent. Think of that. Gas prices, oil prices down so low. Record numbers in some cases, but down so low. And we were going to sell it all over the world, fill up our strategic reserve, which I was doing very cheaply by comparison to what they're doing now. He used the money just to have a better election. He used a lot of the money. It's drained. It's the lowest point it's ever been right now. That's meant for military. That's meant for real problems, not to keep your gasoline price down so that you can get some votes during an election. But they brought it down to the lowest level in order to try and remain relevant for an election. It's very terrible what they've done. They've done a lot of bad things. As part of our common sense energy policies, I will once again stand up for Iowa ethanol like I have done. I've been your savior. Many people did not want anybody to stand up for it. I just promised as president, I issued a historic rule declaring that E15 would be made available all year round. You know what that means. I did it all year. It was 8 months, and I did it all year round. Nobody thought that was going to happen, and letting them use the existing pumps. Now, that doesn't sound very glamorous, but it was hundreds of millions of dollars would have had to be spent. That would have been an increase in price to you. And I let them use the existing pumps. Very simple. I brought in experts. I said, well, what's the difference? They said, well, sir, the old ones are actually better. I know that because a lot of times equipment is much better. The older equipment is a lot better than the new equipment. And like grass cutters. All you have in a grass cutter today is environmental computers and equipment. They forgot to put blades on it to cut the grass. So sometimes you'd rather have like a blade. Give me a blade to cut the grass. In contrast to my unwavering support for Iowa ethanol and agriculture, Ron DeSanctimonious wants to literally bankrupt Iowa farmers. That's what he'd do because his policies are horrible. DeSantis spent his entire political career vindictively trying to kill the ethanol industry, voting again and again to devastate Iowa farmers by eliminating the billions of dollars generated each year from ethanol and wiping out 48,000 Iowa jobs. He voted against it. Unlike DeSantis, I will be your ethanol champion for 4 more years. You have 4 more years of security. And I will also rescue the ethanol industry by canceling crooked Joe Biden's insane ethanol-killing electric vehicle mandate on day one. Everything has to be electric.
Bro, he's in Iowa. Of course he's fucking pumping ethanol, dude. What are we talking about? It's corn, baby. We're in corn country, brother.
They're going to all be voting for Trump because they're going to this mandate.
We love ethanol, don't we, folks? I would make my child.
To Mexico,
I'm giving Barron all the ethanol.
Many went to Canada, and the rest went to China. Whatever we have left, it's peanuts compared to what it should have been. But this electric car thing is just crazy. If you want to drive, maybe let's say you're here. If you say, let's take a drive to beautiful, safe Chicago. It's so safe.
Oh, he's so good. I love when he shits on EVs, even though I have an EV and I like EVs. It's so funny.
You know, it's just crazy. It's these people. And they know it. They know it's crazy. They don't want to even listen to people. Same thing with the trucking industry. They want to have electric trucks. So a truck, a big, beautiful truck like Peter built or one of them.
It's going to be gay.
It's the big ones. They can go 18-wheelers. They can go about 2,000 miles, they say, 2,000, on a big tank of diesel. and an electric truck comparable, which you can't be comparable because you need so much room for the battery. Most of the area that you're going to carry your goods is going to be battery.
He's right.
But assuming we take away that problem, which is not easy to take away, you'd have to stop approximately 7 times to go 2,000 miles, right? You go about 300 miles, and they don't want to change that.
Megaphonics is so mad.
If I were sitting there and that was explained to me and verified, I would say, of course you're not going to do that. We'll destroy our supply chain. But the Attorney General would agree with me. I mean, you don't have to be a great expert to know. You can't do that. One goes 2,000 miles and the other one goes 300 miles, and you don't have any capacity because half of it's got to be for battery. The batteries are massive. Crooked Joe puts China
I think the
first.
funniest part of
He puts
it,
Asia first,
part about it
Ukraine
is that
first, illegal
he should just be honest and be like, it's because of China that I'm
maniacs
scared
first.
of electric
He
vehicles.
puts everyone first, but he puts America last. He puts Iowa last. He puts our workers last. He puts our farmers last, and he puts everything that's good last. And by the way, they abandoned Iowa.
Like a Republican style commentary on this matter from like a Democrat would be like, if Donald Trump was a Democrat, he'd be like, China is stealing our lunch money on the electric vehicles, folks. They're dominating it. They're dominating Europe. What I'm going to do is beat China's ass, folks. We're going to make sure China has nothing left. They're going to be going back to the horse and buggy by the time I'm done with them.
So job number one when we return to the White House will be to restore peace through strength. Peace through strength. For 4 straight years, I kept America safe. I kept Israel safe. I kept Ukraine safe. There was no talk of this. And I kept the entire world safe. A great gentleman, Viktor Orban, Hungary. He's the leader. He's the boss. He's everything you want to call him. He's a tough guy. He's tough, very well. He knows Russia very well. He knows Ukraine very well. They were saying, what do you think is going on with the world?
He's literally just an incredibly cucked individual.
The world as Trump isn't there anymore.
Worst of both worlds.
What would you suggest?
Cuck the EU
back as president
and also cuck to Russia at the same time.
And you won't have any of these problems. He said when Trump was there, these leaders, China, Russia, all of them, they were afraid of the United States. They feared the United States. They respected him. And I thought it was a nice statement, so I repeat it as often as I can, because I know one thing, the press is not going to repeat it. You know, you might as well repeat it yourself. This is a lesson. Repeat it yourself, because they're not going to be repeating it. I'm the only candidate, I think you know this, who can make a very important promise. So I think the world's in more danger than it's ever been because of the power of weaponry, and I will be the only one that can say this with great surety. I will prevent World War III. World War III. We're very close. I don't know if you feel it. I don't know, Madam Attorney General, if you feel it, but we're very close to World War III when you see these discussions taking place. You know, we had an axiom, never, ever talk nuclear, never mention the word nuclear. It was not a word that was mentioned because the power is so ridiculous, and we didn't mention it. Now, all the time, you're hearing nuclear from them. From them. You're hearing it from other countries. It was unacceptable. It was a word that you couldn't say. And all of a sudden, you're hearing that word all the time. And this wouldn't be a war like with army tanks running back and forth, shooting at each other, World War I, World War II. This would be obliteration. This would be the worst thing there's never been. This would be obliteration. You cannot use the word. You cannot discuss that word. But I rebuilt our military to a level that it's never been before. And that includes that, you know, our nuclear stockpile. I have no choice. I hated doing it, but it's all.
If World War III happens, it's 100% your fault. Yeah, dude. You know it. It's because I served the top of the hour ad break, right? That's why. All hell broke loose, you know? Classic. Bro, I'm not going to lie. I think it's over. It might be Jover, dude. The Iceland volcano, dude. I don't know what the fuck's going on there, but kind of spells a little bit doom and gloom. You got like one of the most significant religious grounds in constant fucking conflict, active genocide occurring in Gaza, right? You got the fucking volcano in Iceland. You got literally the devil himself running again and looking better than ever before. Shit is apocalyptic. Honestly, I'm no believer in like religious symbolism or anything, but if I was even remotely spiritual, remotely religious, I'd be like, what the fuck is happening, dog? Shit is really up. What is going on, dude? Are you implying that the evangelicals are right? Kind of, dude. I mean, if I was an evangelical believer of like angels and you know, the rapture, I'd be like, oh, shit's happening, shit's popping. Let's go. This is how you become evangelical? Yeah, totally.